Welcome back. Silver Slugger Awards have been handed out. This award's been around since 1980. It rewards the best offensive performer in each position, both American and National League. And a couple of notes here. Salvador Perez logged in time at various positions, including first base and DH, but still wins the Silver Slugger at catcher, as well he should. Brent Rooker, really interesting choice at DH over Yordan Alvarez. Hit more homers. Alvarez had the higher OPS. You could have argued that either way. Bobby Witt, the first of, I think, what will turn into many, many Silver Slugger awards at shortstop. And Jose Altuve wins his seventh. In the National League, I think there's a seven-time award winner here, too. Was there not? Yeah, Mookie Betts, who wins it as the utility player. And that's fine by me. I mean, he was the perfect utility player last year, was he not? Second, short, and right?
Yeah, it's hard to think of Mookie Betts as a utility player.
I mean, he's redefined it, I think. It's not just a guy who's okay at every position. Mookie Betts is a super-duper star who happens to be able to play every position.
No, I get it. I mean, I'm looking at the American League. Josh Smith, for much of the year, was the MVP, essentially, for the Rangers. That, to me, is the utility guy. It's hard for me to... I know it. I get it. He's played multiple positions.
How about the idea that, Jurickson Profar wins a Silver Slugger Award as an outfielder? Right. By the U.S. Marine Corps. Steve Phillips joins us as he does throughout the hot stove season. Steve, good morning. We want to start with Juan Soto, as we seem to start with everybody with Juan Soto these days. And I want to lay out an example for you, and you tell me if there's an application here in Soto's free agency. Remembering what the Cardinals were faced with about 15 years ago when they decided to re-up Matt Holliday, it was then unclear how that would impact Albert Pujols' money and his ability to stay a Cardinal for life. Are we talking about the same thing here if, in fact, the Blue Jays get into the Soto sweepstakes as it relates to Vlad Guerrero?
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think they can afford both of them. I'm very surprised. Look, they got in on Ohtani last year, and at the end of it, certainly the fans felt like they were used to run the price up as a stalking horse for the Dodgers. Now, they were willing to match what the Dodgers did, and Ohtani just chose to go to Los Angeles. But I find it interesting. I thought the main priority for Toronto would have been sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr. right out of the gate this offseason. Get cost certainty, lock him in, market to all of the other free agents that we're in it to win it for the future. Here's what we just invested in. But I don't think that they're negotiating with Vladdy right now if they're actually in on Juan Soto. And what I find interesting is, I can't imagine that the Blue Jays will be able to match what Hal Steinbrenner and the Yankees are going to be willing to pay, or what Steve Cohen of the Mets are going to be willing to pay. And so it makes me wonder, why get involved in it? Because all it's going to cost you is potentially losing out on Plan B or Plan C. And it could alienate Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and make him feel like, geez, I'm not that much of a priority. You'd rather have this guy than me, when I think the only reality is they're not going to get Soto. I don't think they're going to get Soto. I think they should really try to lock up Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So I think it's complicated for them. But I think they're playing with fire a little bit by even participating in the negotiations.
I loved your answer, because earlier in the show, we were talking about Soto allegedly not being San Francisco's not interested. And you sat in that general manager's seat for a long time. I know agents do it with respect to telling the team, hey, we got this potential options to drive up a price. Would that even be remotely in it? Because I look at this, you got the Yankees, Mets. It seems like those are the two front runners. And then you have two other American League East teams. Did you ever feel that way when dealing with an agent, that they might be just trying to gin up the deal because it's going to cost me more?
Yeah, so I think that there is that sort of gamesmanship that goes on. And certainly in the American League East, it used to be the Red Sox and Yankees playing that game with each other. They would get in just to run the price up on the other. But in this offseason, where you're going to fly out to Los Angeles, sit down and meet with the agent and the player, to me, it would be disrespectful and disingenuous if you were playing that game. It's one thing to express interest over the phone. It's another one to fly out there and court the player. I mean, at that point, you really are interested in the player and not just doing it to run up the price on the other team. So that happens where you do run up the price. You want it to cost the other team more because maybe it'll compromise them in the future. I don't think that's the case with the interest for the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. I think they're truly interested, but I think we all have to ask ourselves, can the Red Sox, can the Blue Jays match dollar for dollar what the Yankees and the motivation the Yankees have to bring it back and what the Mets have, Steve Cohen, where there's always one more Steve Cohen dollar than there is anybody else. Can you really match that? And if not, get out of it and make Plan B a priority and go get that guy in a preemptive strike before he has to wait for Soto to come off the board.
From the deal that we're waiting for to a deal that we know about, and I heard you and Eduardo talk this morning on the leadoff spot in MLB Network Radio about Travis d'Arnaud's 2-year deal joining the Los Angeles Angels. You have a take on the other side of it, what it means for the Braves to have lost a pretty important guy.
Yeah, Travis d'Arnaud is a leader. Like, this guy was so important to the Atlanta Braves. The number of important at-bats that he had over the last several years. Big hits, big RBIs, home runs, sacrifice flies. He always seems to come up when he's in the game and deliver. You know, in the NFL, it's sort of now in vogue to go with tandem running backs. And I think Atlanta has gotten out in front of this tandem catchers with Sean Murphy and d'Arnaud. D'Arnaud's better than just a backup catcher, right? Both Murphy and d'Arnaud are really, could be everyday catchers or semi-regular catchers. And so I think losing d'Arnaud is a big loss, both in the clubhouse and the dugout and on the days that he plays, giving Murphy a day off, because he was legitimately an offensive and a defensive quality catcher. Ron Washington knows him from his time in Atlanta. He brings him out there, and they're putting together the tandem catchers with Logan O'Hoppe, who I really like a lot, both offensively and defensively. With d'Arnaud, they can use the DH spot to get both bats in the lineup. I think it's a really good move. Not a really high price point for the Angels. I like what they've done so far.
Also heard you guys reacting to the Silver Slugger Awards yesterday. Really quickly, a couple of 7-time recipients in Jose Altuve and Mookie Betts.
Yeah, I think just the level of consistency, right? For Jose Altuve, it points to, I think nobody really competes at second base in the American League with Altuve. He's the man. And for Mookie Betts, he's in as a utility player this year. Like, it doesn't matter where you play him. He'll find his way to get hardware. And I think for Mookie Betts to be the utility award winner for the Silver Slugger this year, and my guess is he'll probably be the second base award winner in the National League next year. Ketel Marte winning it this year. But Mookie, they said he's going to be in the infield. I suspect it'll be second base. Don't be surprised if both of them, Altuve and Betts, get their 8th Silver Slugger awards next year.
Steve Phillips hosts Leadoff Spot, MLB Network Radio, every morning. He is with us weekly on Hot Stove. Steve, we appreciate you. Thanks for being on with us as always.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's that time where companies are offering open enrollment for health benefits for their employees. How open enrollment may apply to the free agent market and to some teams specifically. Next on Hot Stove. It's that time of year where a lot of companies offer open enrollment for their health benefits and plans for employees, and it covers everything from medical and health insurance to dental insurance to commuter benefits. So as we're in the midst of that here at our company, we thought maybe we would apply the idea and the concepts of open enrollment to free agency and Major League Baseball. Stay with us on this.
Only you, Matty. Go.
No, stay with us. This is all John O'Malley. This is all our production staff. Let's start the benefits by talking about dental insurance, shall we? And we think that the Orioles need to bite down, if you will, and sign at least one of their 2 big Uber ticket items. Anthony Santander, so important to them. Corbin Burns going to cost a lot of money, and the Birds have got to bite down and keep at least one. Dental insurance also applies to the Yankees and the Juan Soto sweepstakes. They could do the root canal and let him walk, and that would be painful. Or you put a permanent crown on top of that tooth and you lock him up for life so he doesn't go anywhere. 2 very distinct ways to go in the Yankees' dental insurance. What about vision insurance? Boy, a lot of things need to get better with the Rockies. Here's one of them. They were 6th worst in terms of walk rate, and they had the highest strikeout rate. So the vision is a little askew there, and among the things that need to improve, maybe the vision at the plate. What about the Giants in terms of vision insurance? Things have gotten blurry the last couple of years, and they're hoping that the hirings of Buster Posey and Zach Manassian can put some glasses back on that pupil and line up the vision again to restore the Giants as a power in the National League. You know, your HSA account is out there, and the cost of everything's gone up the past few years. Time for the Red Sox to tap into their HSA and write a couple of checks off that account, behave like the big market team that they are, and if it means dipping into your HSA, go ahead and do it. There's a retirement catch-up option for many employers, and before Clayton Kershaw rides off into the sunset, forget about the 401k and contribute to the 3,000k. He is about a month's worth of starts away from getting to 3,000 strikeouts for his career. Some teams offer commuter benefits, and who better than the Padres to take advantage of that? Because San Diego had the most miles traveled last season of any team, first time since 1997 that a team outside the AL West had that distinction. It's usually the Seattle Mariners covering all that ground. And finally, in terms of short-term disability, the Dodgers could have used it because they had the most days lost to the injured list last year, but it didn't matter because they won the World Series anyway. So the Dodgers said no to that short-term disability insurance, and as it turned out, everything was fine. Any of that strike your fancy?
Yeah. I liked it all, but I went to your first dental. I think everybody has to make sure they have a good dental plan. The Orioles, like, look, 2 years ago, 101 wins. I mean, tops in baseball, 91 wins this year. You know, they have to do something to continue with that Oriole magic and Oriole way and that great ballpark. I hope they do. I don't know if Corbin Burns is going to come back. You mentioned about Anthony Santander. I mean, 44 home runs, 102 RBIs, like major offense, great right field. Every time that I used to go down to Baltimore, I played in the old Memorial Stadium uptown. You know, so I always waited for, like, man, when this turns around, Baltimore Orioles.
It's turned.
Yeah,
but they got to keep it that way.
Yeah, so I'm feeling that. I hope they do. I know they have a new ownership, and
I'm wondering if, like, it would be a fool's exercise to try to prioritize for them. But if Santander is the guy they end up keeping, are there enough free agent pitchers out there to put back the Burns dominance? Right? You've got to go get Kikuchi. You've got to think about Manaea, Severino. I mean, there's other players out there. I don't know if there's enough power. If they don't bring back Santander, in other words,
fair.
I'm not sure if there's other power out there. There might be other arms out there if you decide that Burns is too expensive.
Fair. And they have a large stable. I don't know if they're 1, 2, or 3 in respective periodicals of the amount of prospects that they have. And how that plays out, whether you're in the Garrett Crochet possibility of a trade. And there's good pitchers out there. We saw what happened with the Mets last year with Severino and Manaea.
Yeah.
Like, there's that guy that could be, you know, maybe not the Corbin Burns level, but right there, 1A, 2A.
Yeah. We do know that Corbin Burns is years away from a career in the broadcast booth. Clayton Kershaw might be closer.
Yeah, he's definitely
closer to doing an Al Leiter.
各ポジションで活躍する選手が表彰されるシルバースラッガー賞が発表され、ファンにとって毎年楽しみな瞬間が訪れました。今年も素晴らしい選手たちがその栄誉を手にしましたね。サルバドール、ペレスやホセ・アルトゥーベ、ムーキー・ベッツといったベテラン選手たちは、これまでに何度も受賞してきた実績を重ね、また新たな歴史の1ページを刻みました。特にユーティリティプレイヤーとしても輝くムーキー・ベッツのような選手が増えてきたことは MLB 全体において大きな影響を与えていると言えるでしょう。彼のようにポジションに縛られずどこでもハイレベルなプレーができる選手が今後の MLB をさらに盛り上げていくに違いありません。また今シーズン注目の選手として名前が上がるフアン・ソトの動向もファンの間で大きな話題になっています。彼の移籍先がどこになるのか、多くのファンが固唾を飲んで見守っていますね。特にブルージェイズが彼の獲得に関心を示していると報じられていますが、もしそれが実現すれば、チーム内のスターであるウラディミール・ゲレーロ・ジュニアとの 契約更新に影響を与える可能性もあります。このようなシナリオは、かつてセントルイス・カージナルスがマット・ホリデイと再契約する際に、アルバト・プホルスの将来にも大きな影響を与えたケースを思い出させます。ブルージェイズは外に本気で取り組むべきなのか、それともゲレーロとの契約を優先するべきなのか、難しい判断を迫られています。このような決断がファンの間でも意見を分かれる要因となり、一層の関心を集めていますね。そして今シーズンの目玉英訳の一つであるラビス・ダルノーのロサンゼルス・エンゼルスへの移籍も注目を浴びています。彼はこれまでアトランタ・ブレーブスで長年にわたりリーダーシップを発揮し、多くの重要な場面でチームに貢献してきました。特に打撃面での活躍が光り、チームに勝利をもたらす場面が多く見られましたね。エンゼルスに移籍することで、若手のローガンをホッピーとのバッテリーパートナーシップが形成され、エンゼルスファンにとっても新たな希望が生まれています。彼らがどのようにお互いをサポートし、チームを勝利に導くのか、今から楽しみです。シルバースラッガー賞では、アルトゥーベとベッツの7回目の受賞が話題となりましたが、このようなベテラン選手の安定した活躍は、リーグ全体のレベルを引き上げています。アルトゥーベはアメリカンリーグのセカンドベースで他を圧倒し続け、まさに鉄壁の存在としてチームを支えています。そしてベッツはユーティリティプレイヤーとしてどのポジションにおいても優れた成績を収め、再びその才能を証明しました。彼らが次のシーズンでもまた輝かしい実績を残し、さらなる賞を手にすることを期待せずにはいられません。さらに、今回の番組では、ユーモアあふれるオープンエンロールメントを分加入の比喩も楽しめましたね。保険のコンセプトを用いて、各チームの選手契約や補強戦略を説明するアイデアは、まさに MLB ならではのユニークな視点でした。例えば、歯科保険を例にして、オリオールズがアンソニー・サンタンダーをキープするべきだと示唆したり、永久クラウン王冠としてヤンキースが外との長期契約を確保するかを検討したりする表現が視聴者に笑顔を届けましたね。また、レッドソックスが大都市チームの貯蓄プラン HSA を活用して積極的に選手獲得を行うべきとのアドバイスもファンにとって興味深いポイントだったことでしょう。このように選手の移籍や補強の動向はシーズンオフでもファンをワクワクさせてくれます。各チームがオフシーズンにどんな動きを見せ、次シーズンに向けてどのような戦力を揃えるのか、MLB ファンなら見逃せない展開が続いていますね。あなたはどのチームが次シーズンの優勝候補になると思いますか？それとも特定の選手が新たなチームでどんな活躍をするのか期待しているのでしょうか？ぜひコメント欄で意見を聞かせてくださいね。気に入っていただけたらぜひいいねとチャンネル登録もお忘れなく。MLB の最新ニュースやハイライトをお届けするので、これからもどうぞお楽しみに。MLB ファンの皆さんと一緒にこの素晴らしいシーズンを盛り上げていきましょう。